won this shirt twice. So this is my second version of this shirt. This is actually an organization in Los Angeles that raises money for chronically homeless people. They actually have raised enough money. They built a bus and are able to like travel around Los Angeles, all over helping those people. And then they also built a youth center for displaced youth. So once a year they have an international event that's held all over the world. Each city has their own Unfuck the World event, and all the money goes in each place that hosts it for their own communities. So the first year that I won it was in probably like 2011, 2012, and you had to write in and say what you did to unfuck the world. And I spent 3 years building an asset-based community system in South Central LA. What the hell does that mean? Basically, let me just make sure I have nobody waiting in the waiting room. Basically, what that means is I did this for a very specific reason, and I was requested to do this by a very specific person. And that person is Ron Finley. I don't know if anyone knows Ron Finley. He did a TEDx called The Gangster Gardener, and I highly recommend that you check out The Gangster Gardener. Ron Finley lives in South Central LA, and he decided to plant a vegetable garden on the patch of grass between the street and the road, which the city in Los Angeles owns, but they ask you to maintain it. So Ron planted all these vegetables because he lives in a food desert. So he planted them there, not only for himself, but for his neighbors to just take. And they started doing blocks and blocks of them. And the city of LA fined him and said it was illegal to grow vegetables on their property and people. So of course he went to the LA Times. Make a long story short, he did this great TEDx, and at the time I was volunteering at the food pantry in Venice Beach, California, and Ron Finley, I realized that people that come to the food pantry are beholden to the food pantry, so I wanted to teach them how to grow their own food, and that's what Ron does. So I entered a contest that he was doing for someone who would help people the most using growing their own food. I submitted into that contest and I got in the top 3. I didn't win, but I got 3 minutes with Ron Finley. And then I prepared a speech for my 3 minutes. And basically I said, help me. I'm trying to help our most in need. Teach me how to grow food in any possible way. In containers, in pallets, like anything you can. And he said, I'll help you, you help me. He said, there's a community that lives in America, all over the world actually, that are an unspoken community and they need a voice, and I want you to give them a voice. And I was like, okay. So basically, children whose parents are ill, could be mental, physical, whatever, they could have MS. In the United States of America, that child would be removed from the home. So they usually don't speak up because they don't want to be removed from the home. They're not being neglected or abused. Parents just don't fall under the guise of normal. And Ron knew of someone in South Central LA who had MS, whose daughter had to help take care of her, and he begged me to help her. So I helped her, and basically what I was able to do was build an asset-based community. So what that is you just take it one block at a time, and you knock on the door and you say, listen, I live down the street. My mom has MS. I'm in high school. I don't drive. Sometimes we need help. I see you have a dog. I walk dogs. How about if I walk your dog, and maybe when you go to the store, and she just went door to door and collected addresses, emails, phone numbers, and built a network in her street to support her. So I shared that I built an asset-based community system in South Central LA, and I won Unfuck the World shirt. Then that shirt got ruined because I had it for years. And then recently this year they said, show us your best Unfuck the World picture. And this was with me, with my arm around, may she rest in peace, one of my good friends.
So I won it again because it was
cool picture to have an Unfuck the World shirt on with Mrs. Brady, aka Florence Henderson. So that's my story about why I have the shirt. So I love this. I love this shirt. Okay. So what we're gonna make today, which today's 90 degrees here, and I can't even imagine eating lasagna, but it is my most requested, sorry, I have to keep people in. It is my most requested chef meal. And when I toured my last year on the road, I always offered menus people could pick from. And I offered 3 different menus, and all but one, and I was doing probably, I don't know, oh God, maybe 6 cooking classes a month on average when I was touring, and all but one picked this one. So every house picked this menu. So this seems to be overwhelmingly popular. And last week when I said to you guys, do you want to do this? People were like, yeah, let's do it. My cooking classes are, I just show you, then I'll make a video of it so you'll have it. I do already have the recipe already written on a blog. And last week we did kale pesto, so you can substitute kale pesto if you want. And again, I mean, I just have to tell you, I don't really get hung up on, you know, I'm using pork and beef, you can use turkey and whatever you like, you can use whatever you want. You know, this is just the way I like to do it. I'd like to be able to say that I grew up with a family that made a bolognese, but the Italians that I grew up with, like anything you make has to cook that involves tomato gravy has to cook for at least 3 to 6 hours, and a quick bolognese doesn't really cook that long. So this is sort of my recipe, and the one that I'm doing today is actually the exact recipe that, you know, I was invited to do one of those, I don't know, not Top Chef, but one of those shows. And I made it to, I always make it to the final 3. I made it to the final 3, and they said my problem was a good chef doesn't have salt or pepper on the table, and my stuff needed salt. And I said to them, well, I'm keto, and I tend to use a high amount of salt compared to other people, and they don't want to hear that. But anyway, so this is what they love. They love this exactly the way I made it. So that's what we're going to do. I just wanted to share with you that I pretty much, everything that is here is, yeah, it's organic, grass-fed, raw. I didn't make any exceptions this time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some bacon. I get Butcher Box. And just, you know, these companies that I'm mentioning, I never make any money or never have made any money selling products. So if you buy product from them, great. If you don't, great. Relationship I have with vendors, it's not based on the sale of product, although obviously me mentioning them helps them. But I only talk about companies and or products that really make a difference in my life. And Butcher Box makes a difference in my life because I don't have like big, you know, market, but they don't sell a lot of, they don't sell pork, they don't sell a lot of different things. And then the closest store to me, even though I'm in San Diego County, to get the kind of meats that I want is about 30, 40 minutes away. And there is a farm that I could go to that's also about 30, 40 minutes away. But the problem is it's just it's too hot for most of the months because it's further inland for me. So to have it delivered right to my door is just really nice. So that's whose bacon that is, and I think it's actually Henderson's sells it to Butcher Box. So and it sort of makes up its own mind what the temperature is. So really medium is high, and then it'll go down to probably low. But I just put 3 pieces in there. You can, I'm using cashews, but you can use anything you want. I've made with other nuts. I soaked these overnight, and I always thought you had to, but you really don't. I've done them as short as an hour. I don't know, Michelle, if you have any feedback, but I feel like maybe it gets a little creamier if you soak them longer, but you don't really have to.
I've never done them overnight.
Yeah, you know, I started them overnight, and I think I made it up like years ago. And when I was doing the tour, I was like, you have to soak them overnight, you know, and so many people would forget. And then we'd be like, oh my God, you didn't soak the cashews. And then we'd like just do them for like an hour and they were fine. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna suppose you really but, I did, thinking, well, maybe they get more, you know, absorb more stuff and creamier. I don't know. I also want to have to mention this company just because I've never met anybody from this company and didn't know the XOXO company. Again, I don't even know these people, but this guy started this company because his wife has arthritis and she couldn't use van years ago. They outfitted the entire van. Like I didn't even know them. It just arrived at my house. Everything that you could ever possibly need in your kitchen. So I just have to, again, I'm not making any money. I don't know these people, but their story was really cool and they were nice to me. So I'm just going to drain the cashews. I'm going
to cook these kind of medium-ish. And like a lot of people save their bacon fat. I don't really know why, because I personally just leave it in the pan. I'll put a lid on it if I just make bacon and don't have anything. And then sometimes during the day, because everything tastes better in bacon fat. When I go to people's house and they container of bacon fat, I'm like, how's that even happen? Because let's say I was just gonna have bacon right now. If I made eggs, the eggs would be cooked right in here. And I always think of my mom, because that was the only way she would ever make eggs with bacon. But let's say that wasn't the case, or I didn't have an immediate need for it, I would just put a lid on this, and then I'm sure, you know, at some point during the day or within 24 hours, I'm gonna cook something that would be fine in a meat fat, because I really prefer to cook in that over anything as often as possible. So I just have the bacon in there, and I'm not gonna cook it all the way. I'm just really cooking it right now because I want that fat. And then I cut up onion, mushrooms, and I'm just overdosing on garlic right now because I feel like it's really good health care. And it's really freaks me out because this is organic garlic, but how are the cloves this big? You know what I mean? It kind of weirds me out. It's like, really, is it organic? It should, I don't know. But I'm putting a little thing in because I get all of it. And then I'm sort of a bay leaf junkie, so I'm going to throw some bay leaves in there. I have pork, ground pork, and ground beef. I normally would like ground veal, not as easy to get. You know, in my world, in my family, you would not be classified a good Italian if you served a meatball that didn't have beef, pork, veal, and beef. Like, that's like, and if you call it sauce and not gravy, you really would have fared well in this Italian family.
Is that a pound of each, V?
Yeah, a pound of each. I like things meaty. Like if I was eating that kind of pizza they sell that kills us, I would get the meat lovers. You know, like I'm a meat and potatoes kind of girl. I mean, Dr. Wald sort of accidentally made me a more veggie girl. So now I'm just going to take this bacon out. You can see I haven't really, it's still pretty fatty just because I just really want the fat right now. It's going to end up going back in there. I want to throw these onions in there. See, you can see it's acting like it's 100 degrees. So I would normally just do this over medium. My oven's going to cook it down stove to 3 because electric, you really don't have much control. I'm going to throw the garlic in, and I'm putting the mushrooms in. Now, I would like to say that I have enough fat, but I don't. So I'll just add, you know what, I'm going to try this. I haven't used it yet. Remember I showed it last week? I don't know if you've tried this, Michelle. I haven't tried the Nativa avocado oil.
Yeah, I have some. I haven't tried it yet, so let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I want to see, and it's funny because I don't know, like this makes me nervous, this package. I don't know why. So I'm going to put a little avocado oil in there. I like things oily and a lot of fat, so if I measured that, that probably would have been at least a quarter cup, just so you know. And we're just going to let that go until the onions are kind of like a golden color. And then we'll move over here and we'll start making the cashew. I'm also going to throw the bay leaves in right now. I love bay leaf. I always add it to any gravy, any bolognese, any pot roast, like bay leaf junkie. I even use them as decoration and fill bowls with bay leaves. I don't know why, I just love bay leaves. How do we not love these people? So again, this is a company that I think last week or the week before, out of the clear blue, we're like, hey, I met them through Michelle at their cafe in Orem, right? Is it Orem?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And they reached out, just checking on you, want to know how you're doing. Just wanted to see how you are, if you need anything. And it's yesterday, I haven't even unpacked it all the way. I already had this. A package arrived. They're the people I told you invited me down to the mine and I lost my mind. No, I already know I can't, but that's okay. I'm not mad about it. I do a lot of other miraculous things. So here's my cute $30. Don't have to spend a lot of money. I'm just gonna put the cashews right in there. This is about 3 cups if you want. I have the recipe, you know, that you can follow. And again, I don't really get too hung up on being super particular. And it's kind of a big lemon. And again, this is supposed to be organic. Like, I don't know if I buy it. I feel weird about it. But normally the lemons that I normally buy aren't this big, so I'm probably only going to use half of this. And again, I think the XOXO people may have sent me this too. Like, literally, they sent me everything. Oh, that's not going to work. See, it's so big, it doesn't even fit in here. All right, I guess I have to use my hands, which normally I don't like to do, because my hands don't like to do stuff like this. I'm gonna, and I'm such a, oh, my hands don't like that at all. I'm such a finger, I'm like, all the time. No, don't touch your face. I touch my face 5,900 times. It's almost golden. What I'm gonna do now, we're just gonna let that sit for a minute, because I really wanna put this bacon in there. And I'm gonna use this. So I'm just gonna chop up this bacon. And I'm gonna put the bacon back in there. I love bacon. You know what I ate for breakfast? Oh, that's kitchen. You know what I ate for breakfast this morning? I'm going to tell you. I had a piece of cantaloupe, but I had chocolate chip cookie dough. Capello's reached out to me. Hey, how you doing? What are you doing? What do you need? And sent me, oh my God. I think I added it up. I think it was like $500 worth of, and so much cookie dough. So this morning. But we are going to use Capello's lasagna. And I'll tell you my quick Capello's story. Again, I didn't know there was a Capello's, and there wasn't even a Capello's when I first met them. It was the very first event they ever did. And if you ever saw my TEDx, all I talk about is when they told me I had to give up pasta, pizza, tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant. I like literally told the nutritionist to go fuck herself and yelled at her, because I'm like, well, then I might as well die, because that's all I eat and that's it, you know. And she, you know, she was very nice and supportive, even though I was rude to her. And like chocolate chip cookie, like I'm a cookie core. Like if there's any food in the whole world that I want, it's cookies. Like my daughter, we would play a game when she was a little kid. Like if you were on a deserted island, what would be the, you can only have one food, what would it be? She always said pasta. I always said chocolate chip shortbread cookies. So I just never thought I was going to eat any of that stuff again. And I met the owners of Capello's, and first time I met them, I cried. I literally cried. I mean, like snot pouring down my nose, crying. I'm gonna pick this up so you can see. So it's sort of kind of golden. Okay. Now I'm gonna take the, that's fine, I'm gonna take the ground meat, break it off and throw it in there, okay? So I cried. And we fell in love when I met Capello's. And then I did a lot of work with them over the years. And when I was touring, one of the owners, especially when I was as a gentleman's farm, and it's a lot of land by Red Rock Canyon, and they used to let me go there whenever I wanted and live on their land. Because when you're like touring the way I was, it was emotionally hard. So sometimes I would just need a break. And I was free, you know, I wasn't taking any money, and I wasn't taking any pay, so it wasn't like I had any money to go anywhere. Like I either had to be at the house of the person I was helping in the driveway, or I was kind of in trouble. So they knew this and basically said, anytime you want, you just come and we don't even have to talk to you. And literally, I wouldn't talk to them. I'd go to their property sometimes for a week, and I would never even acknowledge that, and they would never say anything. They would just let me sort of do what I needed to do. So, you know, my tour wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for, you know, people like that. Sorry, I got lost my hands. So that's just another amazing Capello's story. So we have that in there. And just because I don't know if I have a lid, I have a lid big enough for this, just so that we can get things moving quicker. Maybe. Because I do want to put the tomato
the tomatoes in here. Now, normally in the perfect world, this would be cooking, or because when you're Italian, you just like to blend everything together. And I never put the salt in, so let's do that. I just keep. I'm just gonna do a little. I have a recipe that'll have it all measured, but sort of in. We'll just mix that in a little bit. We'll let that cook, and then we'll go back to this over here. To our cashews. So I don't know. I think Redmond is a family. Is it a family, Michelle? Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
they
like,
started one main family, and it's, pretty incredible.
they're just like the most nicest people in the world.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, that is the one thing I have to say is, when I was in the technology sector, it was like cutthroat. People would kill you for like, you know what I mean? And then when I entered the conscious living space, I mean, we're all family and friends, and everybody helps. It's just such a different lens of community that I've ever had. And companies like Redmond, Capello, Siete, so many of them are just, unbelievable people. It's just really amazing. So in here with the cashews, I put a little bit of lemon. We are going to add some salt. And I'm going to throw in just a little bit of water. Sometimes I've actually put olive oil in place of water and played around with it. And I love how Zoom automatically silences. So that's my Berkey that I'm getting my water from. How Zoom automatically silences the sound of this, which I had no idea it did that. Sorry, didn't realize it was on. Okay, so I'm going to hit it on puree, and we're going to get it going until it looks like a creamy little cheese, okay? So just hang on. Maybe add a little, we'll see. I just invent things to use these kinds of things. Like, I love making eggs. When I first went paleo, I didn't know how I was ever going to eat eggs again, because Italians always put cheese on eggs. So many things I was like, I've never had that without cheese. I never even had certain vegetables without cheese. It was always like peppers, eggs, and cheese. Everything was like, whether it was whatever it was. So, once I learned about, this is cooking up nice. Once I learned about cashew, nut cheeses, it's a game changer. So I do like to make extra because I'll put it on anything. My grandmother used to take chicken breasts and, cook them in like a cheese, like wrap them with prosciutto in the middle and a cheese sauce. And, I use this kind of stuff for all that. So, okay, we're going to, I don't know. You could probably, I don't know if you have to do this in a food processor for those Vitamix people. I don't know. I'm sure Vitamix could do this, right?
It's just hard to get out because it's so tall.
Oh. Yeah, see, I've never been really a blender girl except for back in my drinking days. And Lori, my friend Lori, can swear to that.
I can indeed.
Just thinking about some of our times where
Back in the
we thought we were invincible. So funny, I'm
Exactly.
from Philadelphia, and every time I see onions, mushrooms, and meat like this, it's almost like it's a Philly cheesesteak because they always like break it up. I feel like I'm in Philly right now. Okay, so now you can really add whatever mixture you want. I'm a big fan of, I like diced tomatoes and tomato sauce. Maybe you want a different texture tomatoes, whatever you want. They're organic. Just adding a can of diced tomatoes. These are just Trader Joe's basic. And then a tomato sauce. You could just do all diced. You could do pureed tomato, whatever works. Just adding that in there. Again, normally, the Italian girl would have this cooking for a much longer period of time, but we're going to just make sure the meat is fairly cooked and that the flavors are gelled together. But in my best life, I would have this thing going, for quite a bit. But I'm not like they do on the TV shows. They're like, and then now out of the oven, this is done version. Like, I have a hard enough time getting the stuff that I get. Like, going to the store is just such a interesting thing because I like to go during the special hours, but all the stores here, they don't, it's the first hour before the store opens and nothing's stocked. So I'm in there and it's like, well, they're stocking now. So I'm there and I can't really, so if I want certain things, I have to go, during the busier times. So this looks perfect and I want to show it to you. I'm just so certain that I'll drop it all over on the floor. Wouldn't that be great?
Did you add
I'm
water?
going to the deep.
Anything
Here you
else
go.
to that?
So I just added water. Again, I do have a recipe and you can make it, any thickness you want. And again, salt and pepper and everything to taste. You can also, if you want, and the only reason why I didn't do it a lot on the road and I don't do it very often is Italians, when they make ricotta, they add egg and it adds a different flavor, but it is more of a ricotta cheese like I grew up with. Although there are eggs in the Capelli's is almond flour, eggs, they have like 4 ingredients. Almond flour, cage-free eggs, tapioca flour, xanthan gum, and sea salt. Because there are eggs in here, it's not vegan. But the tomato, the cashews, I didn't put eggs because it's interesting. There are people in the autoimmune world that can have things with eggs in them, but they can't have something with an egg like this, added. So limit the eggs, but Italians would have put eggs in there. So I'm going to let that cook just a little bit. So, okay. Oh, and this is, here you go, Goodwill. Just want to show you this. I'm a recycle conscious person. Isn't it? Here's a little, it has a little carrying bag, and I got it for $12. Love it. Every time I bring it somewhere. So it has like a thermal bag, that I can carry it and take, food somewhere. So sorry, I can't work in a dirty space. I have issues. So this is what we're going to make the lasagna in. Now, Capello's, the nice thing about them is it's fresh. You know what I mean? It's not dry, and you have to, it's not hard like spaghetti, like a lot of spaghettis are. It's not like that. It's fresh pasta. And I'm not going to lie. When I was on tour, one of the houses I visited there, yoga Capelli's, they eat this raw. Like her kids like this raw. She's like, yeah. At Christmas, I tried to make cutout cookies. I wanted to see if I could use the dough for like a cutout cookie. You can't, but you can make like popovers and, but I don't know why. Michelle probably would have been like, well, babe, I could have told you can't make it. I don't know why I thought, just because it's, here, let me pick one up. I don't know why I thought, well, maybe I can. But I mean, you can see, it's as fresh as fresh comes. Both, their story is really incredible. They both left corporate America and decided to go to other countries and other places and grow food and prepare organic foods and teach people the power of food. And when they came back, they both decided they had learned how their bodies reacted to cutting out grains and things like that, and they would just put themselves on a mission to create a pasta that would change that narrative. And the cookies are a recipe that they licensed, I guess, from Primal Palette, and then they pizza, and they just launched a white pizza with spinach and caramelized onions and and a margarita. They have naked crust, pepperoni, sausage. I do it. Okay. Again, we all sort of get to do it how we want to do it. Clearly, I'm blind because my spoon's not 100% clean. I always just line the bottom with a little bit of what we got going on over here. So the bottom of my pan. So more the tomato gravy than the actual chunks of meat. Just because it helps lasagna not to stick. Now I gotta tell you, my family were more ravioli, linguine, less lasagna. We did lasagnas when birthday parties, like things where it's more buffet than Sunday sit around a table. And my mom, who was not the cook, it was her mom, she always made stovers. So you can see, I just have like sort of just a little lining. Well, now it's not a lining, but it will be. Can you see that? Yeah. So that the lasagna doesn't stick. Now I'm just gonna lay the capellos. It is good. I did try it. It does taste really good. So I just laid it. Ta-da! I'm not going to be able to keep doing that, clearly. And now I'm going to spoon quite a bit. I'm going to move this. It's so funny. I've never lived in like an apartment building like this before. And anytime I lived in an apartment, most of the time I had to buy my own appliances. And my dad sold appliances, so I feel like I'm kind of know a little more than I should. Boy, this, you turn on one thing and the whole thing is hot. This is hot. Like, I feel like that's not safe. It's like, really? But who the hell am I? Like, I don't know. My daughter's like, just pay your rent, shut up. You know what I mean? But really hot. And it makes me a little nervous. So I put a nice little covering there. And then now I'm going to plop this little cheese on it. Now, normally I have fresh basil. And I would have fresh basil chopped here. But no, because that's what's the hardest for me to get when I go to the store, when I go during the, you know, the pre-existing condition, old people hour, whatever it is the produce they don't have out. And especially herbs. I was able to get some rosemary, but I don't really like rosemary. So I like things kind of cheesy. And again, I don't get really fancy about it. I just always do like 6 scallops. So like 3 rows, 2 across. I just always have done it that way. I don't know why, but no one complains. So now I'm going to put a second layer. It's pretty easy, just a second layer right on top. And you know, these aren't perfect to size, but it's okay. You know, you can get really, and so now, okay, so lasagna, sauce, you know, gravy, whatever you want, bolognese, cheese, another layer of lasagna. So we're just, another layer of lasagna and then this. Yeah, no, I feel like I'm just doing exactly what I did before. And again, I just do the $6, $10, $9. You can do whatever you want, but the cheese melts and spreads out, you know, all over. The other thing is that I was going to go to my garden yesterday, my community garden across the street. I would add fresh parsley to this because I like fresh parsley. And I grew it in my garden, but the lock wouldn't let me in. Yesterday, they installed a new lock and it was broken. So I wasn't able to sort of the last little layer. And I always finish it with the cheese on top, and I'm going to tell you what, I like things kind of burnt and I want like crusty-ish, and the cheese gets that way. So there we go. God, I wish I had it made. So again, nothing fancy. I'm just going to make it kind of as covered as I, you know, just have a look, because I don't want the them to get too dry, the capellos. And then this, I always like to make a design. What I would do, and guess who taught me this? Do I have one here? I learned this from Michelle. I have to do it just because she's here. This is how she taught me to make my donuts. You taught me how to like squeeze things through.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I like to pipe the cheese on top. And I got the inspiration from Michelle. So she just puts a baggie in like when I was, all right, why am I saying this? Because when I was touring around America, I invited myself to Michelle's house so she could teach me how to make paleo donuts.
It was so fun.
It was.
We had so much fun.
So yeah, so I invited myself. So you can pipe the top of it, and that's what, so I'm just putting this in here just to make it look cute. Oh, don't fall through, don't fall through, don't fall through. Okay. Well, you could go as long as you want, but, and then, oh, here it is. You know, and then just cut the end of it. I'm gonna make a mess. I don't know if it'll, some sort of a line or whatever down the center. My grandmother always finished her lasagna with a design. She was famous for like cutting tomatoes or like, you know, putting vegetables in a fancy way. Me, I do something weird. Now I would put this normally in the oven for 350, but I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator because I'm gonna make it later. I'm gonna cook it later. So I put a cross. Why did I put a cross? I don't know. It looks weird. Just go like that. You could do whatever you want. If I had fresh basil, I'd like to decorate the top with the basil. But that's it. Then you just put it in the oven. 350, and once it starts bubbling, about 30 minutes. This serves a lot of people. And it was only one box. I took 2 boxes out because I wasn't sure. So it was only 1 box of Capellos to make this whole thing. It weighs a ton.